I thought I knew my own country, but traveling through Nigeria showed me I was a stranger in my own home. And you will improve your English by hearing my story. Hello and welcome. Today, I will tell you this story in slow and clear English. It's a great way to practice your listening skills. The topic is, my cultural shocks after traveling in more than 5 states in Nigeria. Here is how our lesson will work. First, you will listen to the complete story in English. Then, we will do a bilingual review, where I show the English and Spanish text together. After that, we will learn some key vocabulary and a useful expression. Finally, I will ask you some questions to check your understanding. Are you ready? Let's begin. My journey started in Lagos, the city where I grew up. It's a place of constant energy, what we call hustle and bustle. I thought I understood Nigeria, but I was wrong. My plan was to travel by road across at least 5 different states, from the southwest to the south-south and then up towards the capital, Abuja. I wanted to see the real country, beyond the Lagos bubble. My first major shock was the food. In Lagos, our jollof rice is famous, and I love spicy food. Or so I thought. When I reached Calabar in Cross River State, I ordered a local dish called afang soup. My mouth was on fire. The level of spice was something I had never experienced. I learned that every region has its own unique cuisine and its own definition of spicy. It was delicious, but I had to drink a lot of water. The second shock was about greetings. In the Yoruba-speaking states, like Oyo, I saw young people prostrate to greet elders. This means they lie down flat on the ground as a sign of deep respect. I was amazed by this tradition. Then, traveling east to Igbo land, the greetings were different. A firm handshake and looking someone in the eye was the sign of respect. It taught me that showing respect has many different forms across my own country. My third shock was the language. I speak English and Yoruba, and I understand Lagos Pidgin English perfectly. But when I got to Warri in Delta State, the Pidgin was like a completely different dialect. They spoke so fast and used words I had never heard. I had to ask people to slow down and repeat themselves. It was a humbling experience that showed me the incredible linguistic diversity of Nigeria. The fourth shock was the concept of time. In Lagos, everything is fast-paced. But in other parts of the country, I encountered Nigerian time. I had a meeting scheduled for 2 p.m. in Abuja. I arrived at 1:55 p.m., but the person I was meeting arrived at 3:30 p.m., completely relaxed and not sorry. At first, I was annoyed. But I slowly learned to be more patient and to understand that relationships are often more important than strict schedules. My final big shock was the deep sense of community, especially when I visited a smaller town near Kano in the north. In Lagos, you might not know your next-door neighbor. But here, everyone knew each other. Children played freely on the streets, and families shared meals together. If someone had a problem, the entire community would come together to help. It was a beautiful, communal way of life that felt very different from the individualism of the big city. This journey was more than just a trip, it was an education. It showed me that Nigeria is not one single story, but a collection of millions of different, vibrant, and complex stories. The cultural shocks I experienced were not negative things, they were windows into the incredible diversity that makes Nigeria so special. I returned to Lagos not as a stranger, but as a Nigerian with a much bigger heart and a deeper understanding of my home. Great! Now let's review the story with English and Spanish text together. Listen and read. My first major shock was the food. Every region has its own unique cuisine and definition of spicy. Mi primer gran shock fue la comida. Cada región tiene su propia cocina única y su definición de picante. The second shock was about greetings. I saw young people prostrate to greet elders. El segundo shock fue sobre los saludos. Vi a jóvenes postrarse para saludar a los mayores. The pidgin was like a completely different dialect. I had to ask people to slow down. El pidgin era como un dialecto completamente diferente. Tuve que pedirle a la gente que hablara más despacio. My final big shock was the deep sense of community. The entire community would come together to help. Mi último gran shock fue el profundo sentido de comunidad. Toda la comunidad se uniría para ayudar. Excellent. Now, let's learn some key vocabulary from the story. First word, hustle and bustle. This means a large amount of activity and noise. For example, I love the hustle and bustle of a big city. In Spanish, it's ajetrio y bullicio. Next word, cuisine. This is a style or method of cooking, especially as characteristic of a particular country or region. For example, French cuisine is famous worldwide. In Spanish, it's cocina or gastronomia. Our third word, prostrate. This is a verb. It means to lie stretched out on the ground with one's face downward, as a sign of respect or worship. For example, he had to prostrate before the king. In Spanish, postrarse. And our last word, communal. This is an adjective that means shared by all members of a community, for common use. For example, they ate a communal meal together. In Spanish, communal. Now for our useful expression of the day. The expression is, to get used to something. This means to become familiar with something so that it no longer feels new or strange. In the story, I had to get used to the spicy food. I had to get used to Nigerian time. Let's see more examples. When I moved to Canada, I had to get used to the cold weather. Or, it takes time to get used to a new job. In Spanish, this expression is acostumbrarse a algo. Now, you try. What is something you had to get used to? Alright, time to check your understanding. I will ask a question, pause for a few seconds, and then give the answer. Question 1. What was the first cultural shock Chioma experienced on her journey? The answer is, the food. Specifically, how spicy the food was in Calabar compared to Lagos. Question 2. What is prostrating and where did Chioma see it? The answer is, it is lying flat on the ground to show respect, and she saw it in the Yoruba-speaking states, like Oyo. Question 3. Why was the pidgin English in Warri a shock for Chioma? The answer is, because it was a very different dialect from the Lagos pidgin she knew. It was faster and used different words. Let's quickly review the questions and answers. What was the first shock? The food. ¿Cuál fue el primer shock? La comida. What is prostrating? Lying flat to show respect. ¿Qué es postrarse? Tenderse en el suelo para mostrar respeto. You did a fantastic job today. Learning a language is a journey, just like my trip through Nigeria. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep improving your English, please do 3 things for me. 1. Like this video. 2. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next story. And 3. Leave a comment below. Tell me about a cultural shock you have experienced. I would love to read your stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.